My PlayStation 3 has gotten a tremendous amount of use. In fact, my Xbox One hasn't been turned on in well over a month because I've spent so much time lately playing the older Call of Duty games, but also primarily as my football game of choice, College Football Revamped, which really, even though, it's based on a game that came out like 8 years ago, feels like its own game. And if you're unfamiliar with it, it's actually a mod for NCAA Football 14 that runs on the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, and the PC, though I think the PC version is through emulators emulating the PlayStation 3 copy. I do play this on actual PlayStation 3 hardware using a PlayStation 3 copy of the game. And I made a video, I think back in March, talking about how to get that set up and how I overcame some of the common obstacles people ran into. Initially, I was a little bit reluctant to actually install this. Seemed like it was kind of overly complicated, but in the end, it ended up just being a few simple folder name changes that I needed to make to get this up and running, and that was why I was having such a hard time. And I think playing this on actual PlayStation 3 hardware is definitely the way to go, as getting it running on Xbox 360 requires a JTAG, when doing it on a PC requires a high enough end PC to be able to emulate a PlayStation 3 game. So just using actual PlayStation 3 hardware is the easiest way to get it set up for you. But ultimately, it's a mod that adds just an insane amount of new updates to the overall NCAA Football 14 experience. You can tell here, I'm using somebody else's gameplay because recording on the PlayStation 3 is just a real hassle. I'll have the full gameplay link down in the description, but ultimately it adds new stadiums. You see Pitt's got a new stadium here updated from what was initially in the game at launch. There are teams that are added, like say Coastal Carolina, that wasn't in the original NCAA Football 14. The presentation, the ESPN ticker, all of that's changed. The jerseys are changed. There's different AI changes. The recruiting, I think the menus just look a lot nicer and smoother and just more pleasing to the eyes to look at. And the players that you recruit and take in actually have gear that's aesthetically pleasing. You used to get players that would be automatically generated and recruited that would have these weird helmets that wouldn't really fit their position, or they'd be wearing an obscene amount of elbow pads, just things that weren't really in style that players were actively wearing. Whereas now you have like the turf tape on the arms, different wristbands, things that actually a player would wear today in 2021, not just these weird auto-generated player uniforms. And then just from an accuracy standpoint, there are correct player names, current teams, things like that you'd come to expect from NCAA 14. We've had named community rosters really since the game launched, because of course all college games just launched with generic names like quarterback number 10 instead of the real name. So that's all updated in College Football Revamped as well, and it's done in a sense that I think is well balanced, and many of the ratings are very accurate in my opinion. And the players going forward also have names that I think are realistic, or they seem like current names. It seems like naming conventions that you would see in a player today. I think that some of the name trends NCAA 14 uses are, a little bit more dated names, and many of the younger kids coming into college have a little bit more newer age names, I guess I would say, that this game actually features. Plus, your historical record books are actually accurate in the fact that if you say break a school's touchdown record, it actually has the proper name of the previous touchdown holder in there, showing that you broke their record. It's a guy that maybe went on to play in the NFL. It's the real name, and it's not just some, generic quarterback number 7 or something of the like that the game would typically have. It actually has historic old stats like that, which I think is absolutely awesome, because I think the game does a great job of presenting when you break, a major record like that. I think it has a nice presentation to it, and having the correct name in there is really important, at least to me, from an accuracy standpoint. Now, this isn't to say that every team has new content. Not every team has a new stadium. Not necessarily every team needed one, but not every team has new uniforms either. I know part of the Pac-12 was still missing up until recently, and then there's other smaller conferences that I don't think have been updated. But like I said, new teams have been added. Most of the major teams have been worked on, and when they get new uniforms, it's not just a couple new uniforms. I mean, I'm talking some of these teams have 5, 6 different uniform options, not to mention the custom playbooks, which is something I've really enjoyed playing around with. Of course, that was always a feature in NCAA 14. You can make a custom playbook, but here there have been in the neighborhood of thousands of new plays added to the game, including RPOs, which were never originally in the game, where you actually get that run pass option that you wouldn't otherwise have. So the fact that they were able to work that into the game, and some of the other trick plays that weren't initially in the game, they were able to get the camera to work for them, they were able to get the officiating to work for them. I think that is exceptional and really adds some serious depth to the type of gameplay here and the type of offenses that you can run. But most of all, this is a game made by a community of fans, and what they've been able to do in a year or two's time to really improve NCAA Football 14 is exceptional to me when you consider the fact that a team of professionals at EA making a Madden game improve so little in a given year. It's amazing what these guys were able to do just kind of as hobbyists to improve their own game just in the course of a few years on their own time. Again, these are the type of changes that you don't even see in a single year's transition. From Madden 20 to Madden 21, you did not see this big of changes that you have in College Football Revamped, and I think that's absolutely exceptional. They're able to do this and give it away for free, and of course there is a new college football game coming out from EA. Whether or not that game will, look like a reskinned version of Madden, we don't know yet. Will it even have the depth that NCAA 14 had from a dynasty mode perspective? We don't know yet. This could still end up being the best college football experience that we have to date, even after EA launches a next-gen college football game that will, of course, have better graphics, but may not have as deep of gameplay. And for that reason, I highly recommend checking out College Football Revamped. I know the updates have kind of slowed down on it, at least from what I've seen. Doesn't seem like they're as actively pumping out updates, and it's the summer, and I'm sure these people, they have lives, obviously. They have other things they want to do with their time besides work on making a mod for a college football game. So ultimately, I do expect those to slow down, and I think that even with where it's at right now, the current version, this is a very worthwhile, it's really its own game. I can't say it in any other way. It's its own game. It could stand on its own. It could be its own NCAA football game, because year over year, you don't see these big of improvements as the content that was added to this mod. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Bailey. I will see you in the next video.